So as soon as I left Colorado, I started heading north to South Dakota for Sturgis, and this was definitely one of the hotter rides of the whole trip. I ended up going from 95 in Colorado, and there was points where I got up to 102 on the way there, so it was definitely a warmer ride. Once I was 300 miles away from Sturgis, I stopped to get gas, one of my last two stops before getting to Sturgis. And as soon as I filled up, I noticed that my chain came off, so I quickly pulled back in and, well, I'll let my past self tell you about it. So I just got gas and I just got water. Everything's filled up, good to go. I stopped to make sure my bag was zipped. And my chain came off. Luckily it's not broken. I don't know how it came off. I adjusted it. So now I gotta fix that. Oh, it's 100 degrees in the sun. Yay me. So looking back at that, you can clearly tell my enthusiasm. I was not really feeling it. I did not want to have to do this repair. It was hot and I was just chewing up the miles, and this was definitely a speed bump that I didn't plan for. I noticed my chain was a little loose in Colorado, so we ended up tightening it, got it adjusted, everything the way it should be, and well, you'll see why it came off in a little bit. So for the remaining 300 miles, I took it very easily. No hard accelerating or braking. Just tried to stay very smooth, just so that way the chain didn't come off again, because I definitely didn't want to do that again. Well, I finally made it to Sturgis, and I was 4 minutes from where I was going to be staying for the night. And sure enough, the chain came off one more time. So luckily, I was able to pull over up on the sidewalk right near an on-ramp up in the grass, put the bike back up on the center stand, and put the chain back on. And then once I got that done, I was like, okay, I only have to make it 4 more minutes. And I made it to the campsite, and I could not find a place to camp. I ended up purchasing some tent camping, and I could not find a spot. So I ended up calling somebody that I met while I was back home in Arizona at Best Buy. He said he was going to be there. So I gave him a call and said, hey, do you mind if I put my tent up at your campsite for the night? And he's like, yeah, you're totally fine. So I ended up staying with that group for one night, and then the other group of family friends got to Sturgis, and I ended up moving my campsite over to them, and that just completely changed my entire trip, and I'll go into more detail about that in a little bit. So after a good night's sleep, I headed to the BMW dealership first thing in the morning, trying to be the first one in and hoping that they had what I needed. I had an idea of what I thought it could have been, and I was thinking it was the front sprocket, because the one in the rear, the chain, everything I checked, it looked good. I never checked the front sprocket before I left, because the rear sprocket and the chain, everything looked great. So it was my fault, didn't even think about it, and well, here's how bad that front sprocket was. I made it 300 miles on this thing. Luckily, they had a new front and rear sprocket and chain in stock, so I ended up just replacing everything so I could have a problem-free, hopefully, for the rest of the trip. And that chain lasted the entire way home. The sprocket was good. I never had any other issues. I still can't believe that I made it as far as I did with that sprocket. So I made it back to camp, ended up meeting up with the rest of the group, and they've been here before, so they knew the good rides to take and cool spots to go, and the whole point of this trip for me was to hit the road, not necessarily to go in anywhere in particular. So I just kind of tagged along, and it ended up being an amazing trip, but I won't spoil it all now. I'll kind of let you see some of the amazing rides we went on. So, minor correction. The first day, I did meet everybody back at camp, but then they went on their own ride. I ended up going out to Devil's Tower. So I ended up breaking away from the group and started heading that way, kind of just doing my own thing, and then I was going to catch up with them later that day. When you're running out of luck, need to get unstuck, so go off. When you're up against the wall and you cannot fall, so go off, go off, go off. So once I got to Devil's Tower, I ended up riding all the way to the parking lot at the base of it, and I ended up doing the hike all the way around it. So I'm going to put up some of the pictures and videos that I took during that hike.
Who's in control of me?
So while I was walking around taking the hike, I noticed there was actually people climbing the tower today. So I kind of zoomed in so you could see. I couldn't even imagine. I climb roofs for a living, and this is just mind-blowing to me. So if you pause the video here and read this sign, I actually zoomed in and was able to find the ladder they're referring to. I couldn't even imagine how crazy that was, even to climb it now, but back then using a wooden ladder. So once I hit this sign during the hike, it kind of made me reflect on the fact that I'm not even halfway through the trip and how much many more miles I have to cover and all the amazing things that I'm going to see. And it definitely was a lot of work, but it kind of made me realize like there's still so much more to this trip. And looking back on it now, making this video, it really is crazy to think how I was feeling in that moment and how much more I had to explore in the next couple of weeks. Because I took so many pictures while I was at Devil's Tower, I'm going to end up making this one its own short little video. And the rest of Sturgis I will most likely combine in one video because we just did a ton of riding. We stopped every once in a while, but we were mostly just chewing up miles the whole time. So like and subscribe to see those videos that are coming up. Until next time, take it easy.